And then we've all been told that if you're pregnant, you shouldn't scoop cat poop. And that's because this specific parasite can actually cross the to the baby.
Yeah, you better. Cause you want this, I want this. Everybody in this, what should have it? Stop illusions, it's in your hands. Show yourself, reveal it to them. Yeah, you better. Take the time to recognize it. You won't leave me even if you tried it. You're the artist, I'm the mess, and happily be found the new in your hands.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unlimited with Elizabeth Carson, where nothing is off limits. Today, I have my great friend, Kim Rogers. I'm so happy to have you back. Wait, AKA the Worm Queen, because wow, yes, you are the Worm Queen, right? And we've had a couple shows together, Kim, but every time we have such an amazing conversation. I learned so much. So welcome to Unlimited. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. And congratulations on your new podcast, Unlimited. That's so amazing, Elizabeth.
Yes, thank you. Yes, we launched a brand new brand. I'm coming out here strong and different. And yeah, you know what, Kim, it's a little scary because it's all me. And I've never just stepped in front and had things be on me before. So it's different, but I'm enjoying it.
It is a little scary, but you know what? Everything is here and aligned for our greater good. That's what I tell myself when something new happens. And I'm not a person that likes change. And
right.
So I have to remind myself that all the time, like, you're fine, everything's good.
Exactly. No, even if it feels bad, you know, that's what I've really learned through this last thing that I've been going through. All of the bad stuff is still for your greater good, for your highest good. It's the lessons. It's the, you know, it's the dark night of the soul type stuff. So you have to go through these things to be able to reach, you know, the good stuff. So I'm just in the middle going through it. You know?
You're doing great. You can tell that you're staying positive with all of the shifts and the storms, and you're really doing a great job.
Thank you so much, Kim. That means a lot coming from you. And you know what? You always do a phenomenal job. Ever since I discovered you, I'm like, wow, you're like super hustler. You're New York Times, Times Square. And then I'm seeing your pages just blow. And I'm like, yo, just out here. So yes, Kim, how did you get into what you're doing in the first place for people that don't know?
Well, I was really sick. And in 2019, my husband and I got our affairs in order and just kind of started to grieve because I was not doing well with my health. And so we just decided to wrap up our lives, quit our careers, and head out to the log home rainforest. We were building a log home while we had started the process, and we wanted to live out on the land while we were doing it. And so we just decided to try and figure out what was wrong with me, since Western medicine kind of abandoned me in the process of supposed to be helping me get off of Klonopin. And I had had 13 surgeries at this point, and I was really not doing well. So we decided to just try and figure it out on our own and head out there. And, you know, at least he wouldn't have a mortgage and debt if something did happen to me.
Gotcha. When you were sick, what were your symptoms? Like, what were you feeling that made you think it was over?
Well, I was probably a good 100 pounds heavier than I am now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And that was a big thing because I wasn't really eating. So it wasn't like I'm sitting there eating a whole lot to gain that weight. I just couldn't ever like lose this inflammation that was going on in my body. I hadn't pooped in almost a month, and that was really concerning for me. Wow. And my doctors were like, yeah, I mean, just take some psyllium husk. And I'm like, just psyllium husk? Are you kidding me? Like, there's something going on and I need to know why and what it is. And just my mental health was really a wreck. I could not get out of the constant loop of PTSD. And those people that have PTSD understand there's this loop that keeps going, and you basically just keep reliving the multiple traumas or the single trauma always over and over. And your mind doesn't really know the difference between in real life and what the event was. And so I just could never get myself out of it. My skin was a wreck, and I really have great skin and always have had great skin. And just for some context, I used to be a snowboarder. I ran 25 healthcare colleges. I roller derbied. My roller derby name was Kimbo Slice. And so, I mean, to have what was going on with me going on, it really was scary for my husband and me.
Yeah, yeah, I bet. I bet. So when you went out to the cabin,
Mhm.
what was the signs that you started to figure out what was really going on? Did you start seeing signs?
Yeah, well, we actually had just broke ground out there. My husband and I actually built the property from dirt.
Hmm.
So when we went out there, we lived in our travel trailer, which is how we got mold later on in the story. So we actually went out there and did all of the plumbing, all of the electrical, the septic. We just took 11 trees down, and then we just kind of went out there and we were like, all right, let's homestead and pioneer this thing
Uh-huh.
like crazy people. It's done now, but it took 5 years.
Oh, wow. Wow. So you got mold in your trailer home, but I remember from a previous interview that we did, Kim, that you said you saw things crawling out your face and feet.
Yes. Yep. I know. It's crazy.
Sorry, it's just so scary. It's so real. Literally. Do you know
Well,
one of my worst fears is? Look, okay, I think I was in 4th grade and there was some video teaching about something, spiders. And this lady got a bite or something on her cheek. And it was really a spider laying eggs in her face. And then the spiders came out of her face. And so ever since then, I'm like, yo, I swear to God, if anything like that ever happens to me, I'm done. Okay, I'm done. Just put me in the reincarnation circle. I'm done. I'm done.
I don't even want to be reincarnated, Elizabeth. I don't want to be reincarnated to Earth. Are you kidding me? Take me out of that cycle. I am good. I think that I met my limit here. Like, I'm ready to go somewhere else.
Well, look, that's the story that popped in my mind when you said that something crawled out your face.
Yes, it did. And my feet. So I thought I just had a lot of like whiteheads on the corner of my chin. And now I know because I had pinworms. Okay, we're going to get real deep with Worm Queen. So not only did it come out of my chin, but one time during the full moon, and this is why I always harp on this with itchy bum, I had itchy bum, and I usually everything we have is white, but I just happened to have like a black washcloth, and I wiped myself in the shower, and I looked down, and it was white. It had little white things, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Because they can control your mind. So I'm like, oh, that's just skin. I know, it's crazy. And then I had them swim out of my feet on a fulvic soak. I
Like
mean,
swim, like you can see them with your eyeballs, like they're big enough to see with your eyeballs.
Yeah, you can watch it swim on a video.
And then when they were coming out, were they like alive? Like they were like,
yeah,
no, they
it
weren't.
changes course in the water. It goes this way, and then you're like, no, it's the wind. Like anyone that says it's the wind, it all of a sudden changes course and swims up the fulvic soak. So I did this fulvic soak back in October 2021, and we actually sell the fulvic soak because it went so viral. And at the beginning of the soak, nothing was going on, probably the first 10 minutes. And that's why we tell everyone to soak for 30 minutes and then wait 30 minutes, and then everything will rise to the top, because that's really what happened to me. So we just give instructions because everything that I sell or talk about, like I've experienced it. And so I know what to do at this point, right? So I was sitting there and I was videoing myself, and I said, oh my gosh, you guys, nothing's happening. I totally understand why everyone gets frustrated, because honestly, like, I don't even feel any movement. And as soon as I said, I don't even feel any movement, all of a sudden I felt tingling in the bottom of my feet. And I was like, what the hell? And so I said, oh my gosh, you guys, I feel it. And I have all of it recorded. So I was like, I feel it. Oh my God. Oh my God. And so I didn't do anything else. I just started shooting my fulvic soak feet, and nothing had come out and swam yet. And then my husband and I were sitting there, and I was like, all right, well, there's all this shimmery stuff, which is heavy metals. And then these weird, like little dots, these little white things were floating. We take the whole bin outside and we set it outside and we let it sit. And all of a sudden I run back in and then I said, Jeremy, come out here and help me with this because I don't think anything's going on again, even though I felt something. So I go back outside and all of a sudden there's this thing doing swirlies.
No.
And I grab my phone and I start recording and I said, oh my God, what is this? And he goes, it's just the wind making it move. And all of a sudden, as soon as he says that, it changed course and went the opposite way. And I go, oh my God, what is that? And so that was it. I was known as the fulvic soap worm queen. Like I just got all the names.
Oh my God. Okay. I need to put that clip in here. Do you have that clip still? Can I put it in this video? Oh my God. Because really though? So what did you find out? What type of parasite was that? What type was in your face and your feet? What was it?
Red worms. Red worms, which are pinworms. So in my opinion, and this is just my own personal opinion, this isn't backed by like any documentation anywhere, but people don't realize that pinworm and threadworms are the same thing. But a really easy way to think about it is that pinworms are lice of the butt.
Oh my God.
And they can be given to anyone that's around because they're so small and so microscopic, and they come out of your bum, and when they come out, that's the female laying the eggs. So what I was experiencing when I did a wipe was that is their eggs. Yeah, those are the little white things that come out of your bum and make your bum itchy are eggs. And so when she comes out at night. And that's why they tell you, like in the medical field, to tell your patient to do Scotch tape at night around the bum, especially during the full moon, because they'll just attach themselves to the tape. And then you bring that tape into the doctor and the doctor can look at it and go, oh yeah, you have pinworms. So if you want to know if you have pinworms, you put it literally across your bum. Well, anyway, so most people itch, and at nighttime, you'll itch. And then if you touch anything, then that's how a reproductive system works with pinworms. But my opinion is once they get into your body internally, because they can go into your heart and your lungs and the appendix, they're called threadworms. So they're the same breed, the same kind, but they really, when they get inside of your body, they become thread worms, and they become really long and can attach themselves, and they look like a piece of thread.
Oh my God.
Every combo we have, your face is always like,
I'm just imagining this. I just imagine it. And it's just all freaky because first of all, I can't even do creepy crawlers. Like creepy crawlers and bugs, like I don't do them. I don't do them at all. And so these conversations, they just make me, yeah. Oh my God. So yeah, I was talking.
Itchy. So itchy. I don't like them either. Elizabeth, I left urgent care when I worked in the field because I hate parasites. And here I am. I do not like scabies. I did not like worms. I did not like lice. Oh, lice creeps me out. It makes me itch.
Yeah.
And here I am talking about lice of the butt because well,
no, I was talking to Dr. Be Serious, and he was telling me if you ever want to know if you have parasites, tell your partner to turn you over at night and pull your butt apart and see what happens. I'm like, what?
Or put the tape on the butt. Because, and then the next morning you wake up and they're there. But yeah, I mean, and can you only imagine what it looks like in my DMs? We have had a lot of buttholes that have been spread apart sent to us.
Oh my God.
And when you work for Rogers Hood, the first thing we ask you is, are you going to get offended by buttholes, poop, worms, or potentially anything else? I've had people send me videos where they're peeing and I get a bad shot and they pee out a large roundworm. And
no.
Oh yeah.
No.
When we get together one day, when we meet in person, you can go through my phone.
Oh, I don't want to. I'm going to throw up. It's like, I love your content, but I'm like, I don't know. It's one of those things. I'm like, gotta get it out. Oh my God. Okay. Let's talk about pinworms. So are they common? Are they pretty common?
Yeah. And their home really is your appendix. And I had heard from a nurse that a lot of people that have appendectomies or their appendix removed, it meant that they had an abundance of pinworms that just exploded their appendix.
Oh my God. Seriously? So how come this isn't in real freaking science? Like this isn't talked about. I've never heard that an appendix bursting could be Pinworms. I've never heard that. So why don't they teach about this more often?
Well, we're kind of indoctrinated and we're in a denial state that parasites even exist in the United States. I mean,
That's true.
what they just stop at the border. They're like, yo, you know what? That is the United States. We're not going there, right? Like, or if you get them in another country and come back, oh, we're out because we're heading into the United States. There's no way that shit got carried across the border. Nope, no, no, no. I just think that we lost this way of life
We
100
have.
years ago when Rockefeller took over and started synthesizing all of our medication and changing the way that our books are for medical. And I do know, because I used to write medical books and I was a subject matter expert, what it really does look like when you are a subject matter expert and editing a book. It's so easy to remove something out of our textbooks. And so if it slowly continues to get removed, then it just becomes obsolete. And that's really what is happening here, in my opinion. I don't believe that anyone is maliciously doing this. Now, other people will disagree with me and I'm trying to stay positive, but I do believe that there is a reason why a lot of people don't know about this and then they don't ever want to go out of their scope of practice. And that's really important for people to remember from Western medicine, is that we were not allowed as a licensed medical specialist or a licensed professional to go out of our scope of practice. You're kind of a fear of being sued. And so a lot of doctors just go, oh, that can't happen, because they're so used to the indoctrination of what we've had the last 100 years.
Yes. My girlfriend's a therapist, a licensed therapist, and she stopped practicing because they're not allowed to talk about the things that can actually help you.
Yes.
And she became a coach instead, so she could actually talk about it. So what my belief is that this system manipulates us, but not the doctors, right? Not the people. I'm talking about the people over the people that, like,
Right.
the Rockefellers, that create these systems to manipulate us, to take away our power. So we are just between sick and healthy, so we can come to their rescue every month. We need to get our pills. We need to make sure we're good and healthy, right? So we need them. And then we're just kind of stupid, because if we're stupid, then we don't ask questions. We don't ask questions, and we're not curious about things. And, I really think it's a power pull. Like, it's taking our power away from us. Do you agree?
Yes. I mean, it's like the big pharma cartel and the Western mafia, right? Western medicine mafia. And 100 years ago, it was stated that we should be workers, that we should be followers, that they don't need a society of leaders. And so when you see that they owned publishing companies like McGraw-Hill and Pearson and Cengage, I worked for them. So I understand how they work when writing books and bringing the education into the system. But, McGraw-Hill was owned by Rockefeller, and that's who the majority of the medical books that all of our medical personnel were trained by. And so if you look at that big picture, it's really easy for us to kind of lose sight of things like parasite cleansing and understanding environmental toxins. And if you go out of that scope and you're kind of found out about, then your colleagues disassociate themselves with you and you have a potential of losing your job, which is kind of a scary thing when this is all you've ever known, right?
Yes. I was talking to Dr. Daniel Amen, and the same thing happened to him, because he's the first psychiatrist that actually wanted to look at the brain. And so everyone is like, oh my God, that's so bad. So they all, turned on him and made him, just, I don't know. But it's so, what I've realized is it's the people that are stepping forward that kind of take the idea and then run with it. And, they're shunned because it's outside of what is supposed to be proper.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I give props to people like you, people like
Same.
Dr. Amen, that are really out here trying to teach about this stuff. Okay, back to parasites. So, oh my God, I went off on a tangent because you know what?
No, it's a good tangent. People need to know, like, I'm not just out here because I have a product, but because literally it ruined my life in such a good way now. Like, looking back, I'm such a different person, and I really am so grateful that I had to go through this journey of medical awakening, like I had already had an awakening in 2012 and 2016. And then this was like my official in 2020 and 2021, like what is wrong with me? And then once I figured it out, and I say I figured it out now, I give props to my personal doctor, Dr. Juliana Giles. She's the best. She's here in Seattle, but I still figured it all out. And I still was dictating to her. I'm like, I need you to test me for this. I need this. I need to know why this, because it was such a unique case that even my labs to find out that I had Cryptosporidium parvium, roundworm, pinworm, and flukes went to Mexico, because there's nothing here in the United States, which is absolutely ridiculous to me that in the year 2025, we cannot have correct testing. And so that really is kind of for me, like a mind-boggling thing, because I could have spent decades less trying to figure out my health and other people's health, including my mom. We just figured out everything that's going wrong with my mom, and she's 72 years old. And she's been living chronically ill since she was 19. And I just figured it all out this year. And it's really ridiculous that we live in this society that we can't even have correct testing to find out if some of our root causes could be parasites, mold, candida. Like, come on. I mean, I try and defend Western medicine to the best of my ability, because I do believe we need it. But at the same time, it's failing us in a lot of ways that we really need to kind of say at this point,
Well, the problem with Western medicine is they don't look at the root cause of anything. They look at the symptom, and then they try to heal the symptom, which is okay. That's just the way of life it's been, I guess, for the past 100 years.
Right.
But it's not like if I get stabbed, I'm going to the hospital. You know what I'm saying? But for pain, for injury, Western medicine is phenomenal. But everything besides that, I mean, they treat your symptoms. They don't treat the root cause to fix you. Why do they treat the symptoms? So you keep coming back.
Well, and when you're taught in school, when you're taught in college, the first thing you're taught, they hand you an ICD-10 book. An ICD-10 book is an insurance book that tells you what diagnosis it is with symptoms. And then they tell you what medications you should take with that. And that's how we teach. Now, if you go against that grain, which I have, and I wrote curriculum for a couple of 25 allied health colleges, I would tell them you have to look at more than just what medication goes with what symptom or what diagnosis. You have to go in and actually like assist them, because it's your responsibility for your patient to be educated. And that really didn't always bode well with a lot of different facilities, but I didn't care, because like, fire me.
Well, it takes people like you to be able to, break these manipulative systems. It's just, I mean, the education that you provide about this stuff, is crazy, because honestly, Kim, before I even met you, I had a parasite test. I had a GI map done. So I did all that stuff, and I was tested for all parasites, and I came out clear, no parasites, right? But then I met you. You sent me the cleanse. I started to do the cleanse, and I was having some reflex, detox symptoms. And I'm like, I probably have something going on here, because after I finished the cleanse, I'm like, I feel phenomenal. Like I have never felt before. My brain fog went down. My skin got clear. I used to have these tiny little bumps on my arms, and I don't have them anymore. Wow. I mean, it's like all the things, I just realized that it helped me so much. So I wonder, did I have parasites and they just weren't testing for the right ones?
Or they weren't available to be found at that time, because they're evaders and they're a frequency inside of your body, and your frequency, and it changes your frequency. And the moment that you start thinking about them, they know, just like the toxoplasmosis gondii, where they can brainwash a mouse to go and get eaten by the cat in order to get to the next level of toxo is in the cat's gut. So it kind of brainwashes that cat to say, or the mouse to say, go get eaten. So they know they're an alive thing inside of your body, just like mold. They both have a frequency. They're both alive, and they don't want to be caught. So in the moment that you got tested, there's a lot of things. They could have been hidden. They could have evaded. They could have not tested completely accurately. They might not have taken enough time. They could have died in your sample. A lot of times I say that if you can find a place that does a live blood culture, you should go and do that because it's instant, it's right there. If you can get a live stool culture, which is almost rare and almost unheard of unless you go into a facility, you can do that because you take this test of your stool and you're not refrigerating your stool. You're only giving 1 day or 2 day picture to that parasitologist or whoever's testing your stool. And by the time it gets to the lab, it could already be dead and disseminated, right? Because you've left it out. It's taken a while to get there. And so there's a process when something is alive to actually be looked at. And we just don't have that good testing capability.
So,
and I know because I literally sent my stool to LabCorp, the same stool I sent to parasites.org, and they sent it to Mexico, and LabCorp completely missed everything. And the same stool sample that I sent the same day, same time, went to parasites.org. I found out I had crypto and Jeremy had defragilis and roundworm.
Oh my God. So what percentage of the United States population has parasites, do you think?
Well, the CDC says, and this is again back to if you've been tested and it came back positive, that 60 million Americans have a parasite. But I believe that 95% of Americans in Western medicine countries have parasites.
Yes. You know what's so crazy? I was talking to another girlfriend of mine, and she was like, my husband has been acting crazy. So you know what? I put him on a parasite cleanse. And ever since I put him on a parasite cleanse, he's acting great now.
Mm-hmm. Like, they hijack your nervous system.
Yes.
Yeah.
Talk about toxoplasmosis, because that is super crazy. It's super crazy. You touched on it a little bit, but let's go deep.
So toxoplasmosis affects mice and rats. And if you ever see a mouse go cuddle up to a cat, stay as far away from it as possible. Toxo can be airborne from my understanding. And so you want to stay away from a mouse that's like headed over to a cat and is all, hey, because the mouse is sexually attracted to the cat's urine and also lost the fear factor in its brain because that's what toxo can do. So toxo can make you not be afraid of things and also make you sexually active and pick partners and be promiscuous. So there's a lot of things that toxo can go in and actually affect your brain. That's why it's a controlling parasite. They are all controlling. But then it wants to go into the cat's gut because the next stage of toxo is an enzyme inside of the cat's gut. So the cat eats the mouse so that the next stage is toxo. And then we've all been told that if you're pregnant, you shouldn't scoop cat poop. And that's because this specific parasite can actually cross to the baby. And you can infect your child, your unborn child, with toxo. Patricia Arquette had toxo, and so does her daughter.
Wow.
So she's a big advocate about toxoplasmosis gondii. And then the cat poops it out, and you are the best host for toxo. And it's really hard to detect unless you go to the doctor and actually get tested for it.
So what happened to her child? Like, what symptoms were, what happens to the baby?
It can make them go blind. It definitely will give them mental health issues. It can cause a lot of birth defects. So I always say that obviously you want to be conscientious of scooping any cat poop, whether you're pregnant or not, because it affects a lot of people, not just pregnant. And at one point they said that 50% of France had it. It was a huge thing going on in France because they have a lot of rats. And so that was a really big thing. And then they say that like 60 or 70 million people in the United States have it as well. They did a study with people that rode crotch rockets and they died. And then they did an autopsy and 100% of them came back positive for toxoplasmosis gondii.
So
and then people go to Mexico to get toxo that are fighters so that they can beat the crap out of each other and not be afraid.
What?
Yeah, it's a thing.
Oh my God. So it shuts down your
Mhm.
fear center in your brain. So it must
Yeah.
affect the amygdala somehow.
Yes, it just goes in there and creates its own frequency. It's a
Oh.
living thing inside of your body.
So how do you get rid of this? Because I was not, listen, Kim, I was not scared of anything. Okay, look, I was not scared of anything until I had my kid. I wasn't scared of nothing. I was just out here crazy. How do you
Mhm.
get rid of it? Did I accidentally get rid of it? Maybe I still got it. I just have it better under control. What's going on?
Usually they put you on a protocol at the doctor, and then the herbs that we use in the Purify kit help keep the symptoms at bay. And so there is no real way to officially get rid of it. It can go into remission.
Really?
Mhm.
No, I probably got it, Kim. I probably got that. Because even
Well,
now, I'm sitting here thinking, like, I'm not really too scared of anything. Like, I'm really not. Is that a bad thing? Oh my God.
but at
I
least you're
mean,
aware. I think the first thing is just being self-aware that there's a possibility. They can do a blood test. I mean, that's really how easy it is. I personally think that instead of just doing like yearly cholesterol tests, they should do yearly, like, what is your EOS during a full moon? Do
yes,
you have toxoplasmosis? Do you have mold? Like, these are all blood tests that can be taken and looked at, and then a stool test. And like, figure it out, you know? Oh, nope, none of those are it. Let's check that off. We'll test you again in 6 months, or we'll test you again in a year. Like, really, this should be something that is in the, like, the checklist of things that need to get done for
ab-
your yearly exams.
absolutely. I mean, so many people have Lyme disease that don't even know what is wrong with them. Mold, don't even know what's wrong with them. It's all these symptoms, but it's not even tested and it's rampant right now.
Yep. 30 years I went with chronic Lyme and had no idea.
You had
13
Lyme
surgery.
too.
I have Lyme now. I'm still battling Lyme. I've been battling Lyme for 30 years. I got it when I was around 10, and I can look back at my medical records because I have them since the day I was born. My dad was in the military, and when you retire, they give you your medical records. And so I have my medical records. And I've looked back, and my behavioral issues is kind of what triggered around 12. And I know I got bit by 10 ticks around 10 years old. And looking back now, I figured out I had Lyme on my own
Oh,
2 years ago. So in December of 23 is when I figured out I had Lyme, and that parasites and mold were my co-infections. And so I've been I was on Klonopin for 22 years, and now I know why. I was like one of the first teenagers to be on Prozac. The military they let their families get tested on first. And
yeah.
so I was one of the first teenagers to be on Prozac and Trazodone. I did a whole like protocol. And
God.
then I just had a lot of behavioral issues. I had a lot of pain, and then I had hysterectomy when I was 29. And now looking back, I think that I had Lyme this whole time and really never needed to have the 13 surgeries and the hysterectomy and been on all those medications. And that's why I'm
Oh,
speaking up about all of this, because there
God.
really was no need for the way that I had been treated in Western medicine to have been treated that way, when it could have been a simple Lyme test, parasite test, or mold test to determine what my real root cause was in order for me to get treated correctly.
Oh my God. Freaking A, Kim, you're so strong. I can't even just like, I'm like, oh my God, for what you went through. What are some symptoms if people are sitting at home and they're like, oh my God, maybe I have one of these things? What are some symptoms that they would see?
Well, definitely grinding of the teeth is a huge symptom of parasites.
Mhm.
Drooling at night when you sleep. I know I went
Really?
dug deep into the German medical system and like looked at all of their potential um, things that could be causing when you're looking like skin issues. And but they said drooling, craving salt, which I was always like, oh, I'm not craving any sweets, but I'm craving salt. Yep, it's the same.
Wow.
Insomnia, and I've had insomnia since as long as I can remember. I'm just now in this last year really getting good sleep hygiene. It's really important for me to get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep now, where before I would get like 2 hours of sleep, sometimes no sleep at all, and I would live off that because they get up at 7 p.m. and that's their morning. And so they're making you eat after 7 p.m. They're making you crave salt and sugar after 7 p.m.
Uh,
And they're just keeping you up all night because that's their day and they're nocturnal creatures.
wow. Oh my God. What about symptoms of Lyme? Because those are really hard to tell, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, my symptoms are I have a lot of movement in my feet. Like I
Mhm.
constantly can feel something shifting in my feet because what they are is they're a spirochete, which is like this really thin parasite that kind of burrows deep into your muscle and your tissue. And then it creates this biofilm that's really hard to crack.
Uh-huh.
So most environmental toxins are encased in a biofilm. The
Yeah.
difference between parasites and mold and Lyme is that Lyme burrows into your muscle. And so when they're getting ready to kind of shift around or reproduce, you can feel them move. So you could have really pain, like you think it's a Charlie horse, and it's not. It's them shifting and then pulling
Uh,
themselves out of your muscle, breaking the biofilm that they've created so that they can't be discovered, and then they break through and then they move and then they reproduce in other places and move around. So for me, that's a big one. But for the biggest reason that I wanted to find out that I had Lyme was that I actually had severe anxiety and severe
yeah.
PTSD, and I could never get a handle on it. And I wanted to know why, and it was causing my brain to swell. So I have autoimmune encephalitis, and it's really been so much better since I did therapeutic plasma exchange. But I wanted to find out why and how I could fix that because they hijack your nervous system. They're in my lymphatic system, so it's hard for me to drain my lymphatic system. But they just really cause a lot of havoc in your body.
Yeah, yeah. I have a really good friend of mine. She had Lyme or has Lyme, and she was bedridden for 7 years. I think she
Mhm.
couldn't even move. And I know that it's so much inflammation in the brain because she said there was a point where she couldn't connect her thoughts to her speech, and so
Yep.
she would be like,
Nonverbal.
yes,
Yep, I had nonverbal. I actually get stellate ganglia blocks when that starts to happen, to me. So I get a nerve block in my neck. So they go in and they do like C3 block and C6, and it resets my parasympathetic nervous system. So it goes in from sympathetic to para so that I
mm,
can at least refunction when I start to feel like I can't gain control over my thoughts. And Lyme will do that to you. And it's crazy. This last week I was in Austin, and it was myself, my friend Kathy, my husband Jeremy, and Dr. Chris Motley, and all four of us have Lyme. That's 100% of people. That's 4 out of 4.
oh my God. It's just
Yep.
so much more common than people think. And then they always think that it's something else and it's not Lyme. The Western medicine they never pin out Lyme.
Nope.
Never do they ever diagnose Lyme. They don't do that. And Lyme causes all type of different symptoms that could be so many different things.
Yes. Lyme actually is the same. Well, they're cousins if you want to like be completely technical. MS, Lyme, and what's the brain thing that big gangster had that is like a
Um,
sexually transmitted
oh,
disease?
syphilis.
Yes. So syphilis, Lyme, and MS are all spirochetes. They all do the same thing. They all cause the same issues. They all burrow deep into your blood and your tissue and your muscle, and they all have a biofilm that coats them. So it's really hard to get rid of them because of the fact that they coat themselves in this, like it's like a shell, a biofilm. If you think about like an egg and you have to crack the egg, the inside of that egg would be a spirochete. So the yolk is like a spirochete and the outside is the biofilm. So if people
Ah,
want to like kind of think of it that way, and you have to bring something in to break that biofilm, and a lot of different synthetics and antiparasitics and Lyme treatments don't always break that biofilm. And so once you realize, which is what I did with the Parify kit and also with the lymph kit that I just launched, which has Lyme herbs in it, I broke the biofilm so it exposes them. I ripped all their clothes off. I burned down their house, and they're like, oh my gosh, hello, what do we do now? Because we're exposed. And that's where the problem is when you're doing different types of cleanses or synthetics, is that you have to bust that biofilm in order to expose them.
And okay, let's get a little metaphysical for a second. So, okay, you say these things all have frequency, they change your frequency, right? So, what if, for instance, like a monk that's meditating all day and is staying in their frequency, would these parasites, Lyme or mold, would it even be able to affect someone like that that's so strong in the mind? They hold their frequency all the time. Like I always try to relate mental health with physical issues. And I feel like if you're so strong mentally, that physically it will show up the same. So what's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I believe it can change you mentally. I believe the physical body is shielding your soul. But when the physical body brings something in that is no longer aligning or is the same frequency, and you can do everything you can in your mind and in your soul to change that, but you don't really have control over something that comes in, an environmental toxin that has come in and actually changed your frequency. And they all have their own. So it really can come in and cause all of those disruptions, even on a monk.
Jeez, man. I wonder how many people that are locked up, or just in a place, that have acted a certain way. I wonder how many of those people might have toxoplasmosis or anything, right? Anything.
All of them. I also believe they all have been exposed to mold of some kind. I live in Seattle, and Seattle has a lot of homelessness. I would say I've lived in 8 states and 56 cities in my life. I'm 46 years old, so I've moved a lot. And this city in particular, it is so exposed that there's mold and parasites. I know there's parasites in the water here in Seattle. I've tested it. And so it's come back positive for nematodes. And when you walk the streets here in Seattle, you can see it. You can see people suffering with mold and parasites. And it is really sad. It is really unnerving that there isn't more help for them. And just to think that, like, maybe if they just were given 5 days of an anti-parasitic, what would happen, or go in and just give them some herbs. Like, what would happen to them? First off, they would look back, and as I know, look back and go, man, that just was not me. I cannot believe that I said those things or I did those things, because it's really not them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, so crazy. That's why I love your kit, Kim, the kit that you came up with. And then the new one that you sent, I'm drinking that every day. I feel like very clear and energized and just so good. And what would you suggest for people, even average people? What if someone doesn't even know they have parasites, but I would still do your cleanse? I didn't know I had them and I still did it. And I felt wonderful afterwards. So what would you suggest? How should people use your cleanse kit that you have?
Well, you should be deworming and parasite cleansing 3 to 4 times a year. You're not going to
quarterly,
3 to 4 times a year, seasonally. You don't know if you have them, and it really doesn't even matter if you know you do, because you still should be deworming. And other countries do this. Mexico does it 2 to 3 times a year. And in some sports and schools, you have to deworm before you can do them, because they know how contagious this is. If you eat sushi, if you walk barefoot grounding outside, and I'm not saying you shouldn't ground, but what I am saying is that you don't know if a animal came and defecated right there, and then it rained and it then created hookworm, roundworm, flatworm, whipworm inside of the dirt. If you have pets, they always should be dewormed. So when you deworm them, you deworm yourself, because you're letting them lay in bed with you. You're letting them lick you after they've licked their own butt. They've eaten their own poop. They lick their paws. They're out there walking on the dirt, and things can get into their paws, right? And they're licking and drinking puddles. So really, at this point in our lives, because we are in this medical awakening, we need to be proactive, not reactive. Reactive has gotten us where we're at. Proactive is what we need to be doing to make sure that we don't end up like how I was, that we don't end up with unnecessary surgeries. And looking back later, I have no regrets. I'm so grateful for where I'm at right now. But looking back, I feel for people that have regrets and have to live with the regrets for their whole life because they didn't just do some parasite cleanse from some worm queen on the internet and realize that, like, oh my God, some of these problems is inflammation. Like, my kit is more than just for parasites. It's for candida and heavy metals and inflammation. And then the new lymph kit, the reason why it's so great is because I put in lion's mane that's double extracted and turkey's tail that's double extracted. And so those two things together just help with inflammation. And not a lot of people know about lion's mane, but man, it is such a beautiful mushroom. It goes in, it breaks through the blood-brain barrier of the brain and actually goes in and starts to heal the brain instead of just Band-Aid it. And then anything that is inside of those tinctures. So there's like 8 herbs that I picked, just my top herbs for lymph and brain, and just repairing your DNA, because we've all had so much damage to our actual DNA that the lion's mane is driving the bus to go across your blood-brain barrier and bring all of these herbs along this bus. And so they're all getting to work through your brain, through your body, and really assisting with repairing and restructuring and just really boosting our body. And you can take it with the Parafy kit. You can take it every day. It's not a cleanse. It's a kit. It's a wellness kit.
And okay, so you know how you take certain things over and over and over, and then your body gets used to it. So what about your stuff? Does your body ever get used to this stuff, or can you take it every day for the rest of your life?
You can take it every day for the rest of your life if you would like. Parafy, the actual tincture itself is actually a little bit stronger than what you would want to take every single day. And it will get, your body will get used to it. The parasites will get used to it after a while. And that's why we tell you to take breaks and take 7 days between, and just to give yourself a little bit of a break, because it is taxing on your body to take a killing herb or an unaliving herb constantly. You want to go into a support and a repair phase as well. And so that's why we brought in supporting herbs. But it's not always good to stay in a cleansing, unaliving phase,
Right, exactly. Yeah, I've been taking lion's mane for years, almost a decade now. And I notice when I take the breaks off of it, right? I'll take little breaks because I'll forget, I just go through stages of, I have so much stuff I do. And when I take it again, because you reminded me with your lymph kit, you're like talking about lion's mane. I'm like, oh my God, I got to take lion's mane, because lion's mane is my favorite freaking mushroom. I mean, it increased my REM by 50%. Like, I am now REM sleep almost 90 minutes a night. And I was before 45 minutes, like an hour or less. I mean, every time that I take lion's mane before I go to bed, I mean, my REM is full and I wake up rested, and then my brain is so clear. So clear. So thank you for reminding me.
You're welcome. I love lion's mane. When I was in this journey in 2020, my husband paused our log home build and he grew us lion's mane, turkey tail, reishi, cordyceps, maitake, psilocybin, and then we foraged amanita. That's why I have her on everything, because I learned how to break down amanita, and I realized it was the same DNA structure as Klonopin, which is what I was trying to get off of. They actually stole this beautiful plant and synthesized her, and you can't grow her, you can only forage her. So I took lion's mane, psilocybin, and amanita to save my brain when I was getting off of the Klonopin, because I had a mini stroke. And I know I would have had a full stroke if I had not taken lion's mane and psilocybin and amanita. Like, I know what it would have looked like.
Amanita, what one is that? Amanita.
She's the red, beautiful.
The red one, right? Okay. That's psychedelic, right?
No, it's not psychedelic. Psilocybin psychedelic.
Yes.
Psilocybin is active, but amanita is actually what goes in and helps reset your fight or flight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's muscimol or ibotenic acid, depending on which way you want to go on the spectrum. So for benzodiazepine people, you want to turn it into muscimol. And for people that want a little bit of an upper, you turn it into ibotenic acid, and you do that with some lemon. And so that changes the structure of Amanita. But what you do with her is you actually will dehydrate her, and then you make it so she's crispy like a cracker. And then you put her in water and you make a tea and you drink the tea. And so you just do a little amount, though. She doesn't take much. And what I was doing for a while, because I don't want to just like take a little itty bitty of tea, I wanted to be able to dose myself. So I put them in like this gummy bear mold. And that's how I knew how to dose myself. I take her now in a different tincture form. There's one company that actually makes a tincture. Their name is Psyched Wellness. They're amazing. You should interview them. They're so great. They have a tincture called Calm.
I need that.
It's so good.
Uh-huh.
They're the only ones, but they're great. And it took them, I want to say like 3 years to develop their product. And they're the only ones that have an Amanita tincture.
Wow. Yes. I love that mushroom so much. Okay. So when you mix all three, what happened to you? Did you take like a journey, like dose of it, or
Daily?
like you did?
Sometimes up to 1 gram a day. I didn't take a hero's journey or an ego death, but I would go from about 0.25 a day to around 1. And I would do 4 days on, and then Fridays I would reset. So I would do 4 days of like 0.25 to 0.5, so a micro or a little bit more. And then I would double that dose to reset my body so that I could go back down to a smaller dose. So I could stay microdose, and then a journey. So on Fridays is usually when my journey was, and I had some wild journeys. Obviously, I found some things out because here I am knowing about parasites and cleansing, and it was all downloaded to me.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, so you got downloads. So you downloaded all that information when wow.
Yeah.
That is so I never knew that. That's amazing. Yes. Mushrooms, psychedelic, psilocybin has been like calling me like, hello, I have a message. So I'm like, when these beautiful psychedelics, when they call your name, it's like, you have to have some sort of something that is, a breakthrough or something. And I've been feeling it lately, but I'm super against people just using it just to party and, do things like that, because there's such a benefit for our consciousness and, and our bodies. I mean, physical body too. So it's, I always say respect medicine, but
I have really great resources, Elizabeth, in my profile. Denver Mycology is one of my really good friends. When I was going through this, you really need to be integrated back into society. Yes. So I reached out to him in 2021 when I was trying to integrate back in, and he didn't even know it, but he was helping me understand what had gone on, and he was helping me through the DMs. And I know it's really difficult to like DMs to like find who's legit and not. So I made sure that all of the people that are in my link tree are trusted sources. I've taken their mushrooms many, many times, but Denver Mycology specifically, he's got a range of different plant medicines that will help your subconscious and will help you just understand, calm your nervous system. So I always like to talk about Denver because he's a shaman, and he just really wants to help people.
I love that. And that's in the link in your bio. Where can people find you, Kim? Where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on mrsrogers.hood on IG, so Instagram, and then on all the other platforms, Lemon 8, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, X, or whatever it's called. This is Rogers Hood, or you can even just type in Kim Rogers Worm Queen and I'll pop up.
Yes, you will. Oh my God. Well, I know we're running out of time, Kim. I could talk to you. I could literally sit and talk for 5 hours, like all day. I'm like, wait, just tell me some more stories. Like, give me the heebie-jeebies, and you'll be a recurring guest, Kim, because you're a wealth of information. What do you have coming up? Do you have any announcements to make to anybody? What's going on?
Well, we just launched our lymph kit, which we're really excited about because you take it prior to the Parify kit, and it'll just help like make your cleanse a lot easier. But Dr. Axe, we have a podcast with Dr. Josh Axe launching. And I'm really excited about it. It's going to be really great. He has officially sponsored us and said what a great job we're doing. And so we're really happy about that.
Congratulations.
Thanks. He's such a wellness guru.
Yes, absolutely. And didn't you say you were working on a book?
Yes, I'm working on a book in the back end. I got a few things that I need to kind of continue to get together because, when you have a book, then you've got a launch. And so I want to finish. I have a couple of things with my podcast. So I have a podcast called What's Eating You. And we talk about all of this. We also show you all the modalities like getting IVs at home and cryo and cold plunge and HBOT and all of the things that I've been doing. We record them so that you can see that it's actually really easy and you shouldn't be afraid of it.
Yes, absolutely. That's great. Make sure you guys check out her podcast. Guys, check out Kim. She is an amazing, amazing woman. And just the stuff that you've been through, Kim, for you to be out here and just a spark of energy and light, I really, really appreciate everything that you do. And I'm just, every time we get on, I'm like, I can't wait for this one. I'm like, tell me more. So good. So thank you so much, Kim. I appreciate you. And we will definitely talk another time very soon. So thank you for coming on my show. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time, guys, another episode of Unlimited with Elizabeth Carson. Peace.
This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those of the hosts and guests and don't necessarily reflect those of the producers or affiliates. We do not guarantee the accuracy of the content. Please verify information and seek professional advice when needed. By listening, you agree not to hold us liable for any actions taken based on this content. Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you enjoy the episodes ahead. Love unlimited, feel unlimited.